everyone, it's Jean from Gallagher, Domanski. The video that I have for you today is one that is specific to those of you who are PhDs or who are in PhD programs and who are also in STEM fields. The USCIS policy manual has specific information regarding PhDs in STEM fields. So that information is something that you may want to include in your petition to point it out to the officer.
Here I have the URL for the policy manual for this section that you will need to look at for the EB2 NIW. And if you scroll down that page, then you'll see number 2, which is specific evidentiary considerations for persons with advanced degrees in STEM fields. The first criterion is that your proposed endeavor has substantial merit and national importance. There isn't a whole lot of specific information for STEM PhDs or PhD students in the policy manual, except to say that your STEM area likely is important for competitiveness or security of the United States. One thing that the policy manual does point out, and that's the first thing I have highlighted here, is that what you're studying and what you're researching is likely part of the critical and emerging technology subfields that are in a list. And I have the URL there at the bottom of the slide. If you don't want to just copy the whole URL, you could just go to whitehouse.gov and in the search bar type 2024 critical and emerging technologies list, and then it should come up, and you can look and see if anything that you are researching and is something that's part of that list, then that can help. You're going to see that on the future slides in this video as well. The next criterion is that you have to show that you are well positioned to advance your proposed endeavor. And what it says in the policy manual regarding that is that if you have an advanced degree, particularly a PhD in a STEM field, that is related to a critical and emerging technology, which I mentioned on the other slide, it can be an especially positive factor. So, and then it goes on to say that if you have a PhD in a STEM field, you have scientific knowledge in a narrow STEM area, since your doctoral dissertation concentrates on something specific, a specific subject matter. And finally, the third prong is, on balance, it would be beneficial to the USA to waive the job offer and labor certification requirement of the EB2 and essentially issue a national interest waiver. So there's 3 things that it points out in the policy manual, and those are that you have an advanced degree, you're part of a critical and emerging technology, and that you're well positioned. And these are things that the officer should consider as a combination of facts to be a strong positive factor. So these are things, for the 3 prongs, you may want to, when you're drafting your petition letter, you can put say like your first section, substantial merit and national importance, and before you put anything else, you might say the policy manual says, and then quote what it says on the slide that I indicated. And the same thing with second and third prongs. You can point out. So you can do the other things that I have in many of my other videos, like look for whitehouse.gov, congress.gov for substantial merit, national importance. You can include all those things. Before you say anything else, you might want to start off each section with what the policy manual says, and then point out how you fit into that policy manual, what you're studying, what your critical and emerging technology is, what you're researching that falls into one of those subfields. And that way you're pointing out to the officer what they're supposed to be following because it's their policy manual. So hopefully this is helpful, and that you can find this helpful for getting an approved petition. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Instagram.